campus in Galveston in Texas. Tropical storm Alberto is forming in the Gulf of Mexico. Texas is being hit. We can bring you now live pictures coming to us from the coastline in Galveston. Still obviously nighttime hours there. It's quite dark, but you can see palm trees blowing, very bending, I should say, in the wind. Very strong waves there hitting the shoreline as well in Galveston. Let's bring in Matthew Cappucci, who's a meteorologist for the My Radar weather app based in Washington. Matthew, thanks for joining us. Obviously, you're in a big country, lots of different weather problems across the continent. Tell us firstly about Tropical Storm Alberto and what the concerns are for how much damage it could do.
Yeah, so Alberto formed in a rather unusual way for this time of year. We had something called the Central American Gyre. Essentially, this big swirl in the atmosphere kind of broad and diffused over the Gulf of Mexico, the Bay of Campeche, the Yucatan Peninsula, and the Western Caribbean. But we had a lobe of tighter vorticity or spin really consolidate today and work ashore in Mexico. But at the same time, that broader circulation is steering an absolute fire hose of moisture into Texas with 5 to 10 centimeters worth of rainfall in many areas thus far, another 10 centimeters set to come. And already we've seen winds gusting up to about 60 kilometers per hour. But again, flooding is that main concern, both coastal and inland.
Okay, let's shift gears and go to New Mexico, Mexico itself, and California, the wildfires there. What's in the forecast that could make it easier or perhaps harder to bring these fires under control?
That's a really good question, and something kind of strange happened today. Moisture and easterly winds at the mid-levels from that tropical storm we just talked about, Alberto, crossed into eastern New Mexico where that big fire was burning near Ruidoso, prompting the evacuations earlier this week. That helped spawn a rotating thunderstorm that dropped golf ball-sized hail onto the wildfire along with prolific rainfall. Now, on one hand, the rainfall is good because it cuts back on the fire. On the other hand, that leads to debris flows and mud flows, prompting evacuations there and flash flood emergencies to be issued. Then, hot, dry weather across the remainder of the West is leading to more rampant wildfire conditions, making it easier for those fires to burn and fuels to cure or dry.
Okay, let's head to the northeast now, one of the most densely populated parts of the country. More than 70 million Americans there remaining under heat alerts. For how long?
Yeah, this is a really long duration heat wave. I can tell you, I stepped outside earlier on today, and only being out for 30 seconds a minute is more than enough for me. Temperature in the upper 30s, around 40 Celsius in some places. It feels like temperature pushing to 40 Celsius in a number of major northeast cities. The reason? A big heat dome, a sprawling ridge of high pressure. It's like a force field. It pushes away any storms, the jet stream, any clouds, leaving the sun to bake the ground with hot, dry, sinking air. And these temperatures are likely to stick around until at least Friday or Saturday. And honestly, I think there's a good chance it could linger into early next week as well, as that heat dome sort of emerges and it sort of reforms a little bit.
And Matthew, the age-old question with extreme weather like this, what links can we draw between these incidents and climate change?
So right off the bat, we know that heat domes always occur in the summertime, but the scale is sort of tilting to make them disproportionately more intense, longer duration, and more severe. So again, that may be something we're seeing nowadays. In addition, I want to talk about something called the Clausius-Clapeyron relationship. Basically, it's a relationship that says that for every degree Celsius the air temperature warms, the air can hold 4% more water. Where there's moisture available, you get heavier rainfall rates and more flooding. Where it's not available, you get more moisture sucked out of the ground, drier conditions. So in California, that could mean more drought and more wildfire activity out there, whereas in Texas right now, where the atmosphere is saturated, it could support more flooding. So nothing's really caused by climate change, but things are becoming more worse and more extreme due to human influence on the atmosphere.
Okay, Matthew Cappucci from the My Radar weather app. Thank you for joining us. Let's take you back to Galveston, Texas, where you can see these live pictures coming in.